So welcome to Civic Engagement in your online class. So I'm Angela Thurman. I'm the Chair of Economics and Sciences at Connect College, and
I'm Misty Wilson-Mertens. I teach history, and I'm the department chair for the social sciences.
Okay. So Misty, I'm going to let you handle this.
All right, so to start us off, we thought it'd be really important just to define our terms. So that's what good social scientists do. So civic engagement is not just political. So a lot of instructors think that this means just getting your students to go vote or getting them to write a letter to a congressman or to a representative. That's not exactly it. So civic engagement is a little bit deeper than that. It's more of a commitment to our community. It's more of getting students involved and engaged with what's going on around them. And the end result, we hope, is that we produce students who are responsible, who show a personal and social interest in our community and in the global landscape. I'm not going to read this whole quote to you, but Thomas Ehrlich, who is one of the main scholars of this, has said that civic engagement produces morally and civically responsible individuals. And that's really what we want from our students.
So not only is this just something that you should be doing to create well-rounded citizens, but it's also a requirement. So the Texas Higher Education Board requires that, if you look at the second part, civic responsibility, including intercultural competence and the ability to engage effectively in regional, national, and global communities. That is part of the Texas core curriculum. So this is a requirement as well as being something that we really stress here at TCC. So why is it necessary to have a component of civic engagement? Knowledgeable citizens are good citizens, and this should be something that we all should be aware of now, as very, very few times in our past. So we see people that are frustrated, that are wanting to be involved in some way. So we would like to show people that if you are knowledgeable, then you can be better involved in the government. Civic engagement also helps create a civically engaged and informed electorate. So I don't know about you, but sometimes you just look at people and you're like, I don't even want you to vote because you have zero idea what's going on. So we want everyone to be informed. We want people to know what they're voting for. If people are not engaged, if they are apathetic about the government, if they believe like, oh, I can't do anything, nothing I do is going to make a difference, then studies show that that leads to moral and social decline of an economy. That is people that are simply not involved. So if a big chunk of the society is not involved, they don't care, they think that they don't matter, then we are going to see the economy decline in many different ways. So citizens have an obligation to understand not only the benefits everybody gets, oh, that's my right, oh, that's my, First Amendment right, Second Amendment right, whatever. We hear that a lot, but with those benefits come duties and responsibilities. And it is important that people are taught what those are. And then the last thing is that students need to learn how to engage with opposing viewpoints in a respectful, constructive manner. So we don't want to be, a lot of times people will say, not only are you if you disagree with me, you're wrong. Well, you're also, racist or stupid or ignorant or whatever. That is not constructive. So what we want is something like, Misty, that's not the way I think. Explain to me why you think that. Not, well, you're just, so stupid. I can't even believe you would say something like that. That just shows how ignorant you are. That gets nowhere. So we don't want to be like so divided. We would like to show and to model how to engage with opposing viewpoints in a respectful, constructive manner.
And just to add to what Angie was saying there, the youngest students that you have coming into your class are going to be Gen Z. And so many studies that have been done on Gen Z have shown that they are the most politically aware and concerned generation we've had since World War II, but they're also the least partisan. So these are students who have grown up in a world that's kind of been in chaos really since the day they've been born, and they want to change it. They're pretty optimistic that they can, and they're looking for any avenue to do that. So you're going to have students in your class that are really thirsty for this knowledge, no matter what subject you teach.
Correct. So, and if you guys have any questions as we go, please don't forget that you can raise your hand or you can put it in the meeting chat.
So I realize that to some extent we're probably preaching to the choir because you guys are the ones that got up early and logged on and you're here and you're participating. But we do want to tell you guys that there are tangible benefits to incorporating this kind of a procedure or an approach into your subjects. For me, the most important one is that your students are able to connect the subject matter that you teach to the real world. It is wonderful for me to teach them history, but if they can't apply it outside of my classroom, then I really haven't done my job. If they can't use the past to understand what's happening now or maybe even the future, we're missing a component or a piece somewhere along the line. This also allows students to make connections across disciplines. So Angela and I teach history and economics, but those are fields that are very much related to each other. And so by incorporating these things, we're allowing our students to see that economics doesn't just stop in economics class. It does carry over into your history course or your science courses or whatever it may be. Our mission at Tarrant County College is to have a student-centric culture. So we definitely want to include civic engagement as part of that. It's also going to help you meet those Texas Higher Education Board's requirements. For most of the social sciences, social and personal responsibility falls into those requirements. And if you haven't looked at them in the last couple of years, I would say go look. They have a chart on there you can follow because they have changed since 2018. And this also encourages our students, like we said earlier, to be global citizens, to engage in that culturally responsible, competent thinking that we want them to have.
Yeah, and to follow up on what Misty was saying, the connections between disciplines, that really is important because a lot of times students will not understand, why do I have to take this class? Especially economics. I get a lot of students that will say, I hate this class. This is, of course, before they've met me and then they love it. But they say, I don't want to take this class. I don't see what economics has to do with anything, which is just, of course, like a knife in my heart. But it is my job to teach them how every decision is an economic decision. And like Misty said, how economics goes hand in hand with history, with government, with English, with math, even with biology. I mean, every subject should be like a little gateway to the next subject so that I can say, well, hey, if you don't understand algebra, then you're not going to do very well in my class. And if you don't understand government, well, you're not going to understand this discussion that we're having. So it is a good idea for you to be able to teach not just that your class stands alone, but that your class is interconnected with other classes. And there's a reason that the core is set up the way it is.
So at Tarrant County College, we have made a commitment to civic engagement. Every single campus has a person who's representing your campus on a district committee for civic engagement. I am the Connect representative, and we have done a lot in the last year. So I want you guys to know that our campus as a whole, our district as a whole, has joined several organizations, including Campus Compact, All In, the National Voter Registration Day, the Kettering Foundation, and Ask Every Student. Out of all of these, the one that I'm most excited about is Ask Every Student. So Ask Every Student is this idea that we are going to take civic engagement not away from, but out of the usual subjects. So we're going to move it out of government and history, and we're going to try to move it into psychology, sociology, math courses, science courses, because all of this, again, is interrelated. And because we sometimes miss those students. Not every student is in a government class during an election year, but their voice is still going to matter. I also want to let you guys know that every campus has submitted an application to be designated as a voter-friendly campus. There are not very many voter-friendly campuses in Texas, and I think there's only one other community college that's been accepted. So if we get that, that will be a huge boost for us. It'll just be a nice acknowledgement of our efforts and what we are trying to do here.
So you may be saying, why is this now my responsibility? I already teach fill in the blank. I teach English, I teach math, I teach government. Why do I also have to do this? So let's go through some of these things that, to be honest, I might have thought this before I got so involved with Misty, who is our champion crusader of civic engagement. So, for example, Misty, I teach a subject where civic engagement doesn't matter, and it does not fit into my curriculum.
So if somebody came to me with that question, and I do understand that I am basically like an evangelical preaching this stuff to everyone, I would say that that's not true. Every subject has a component of civic engagement. You just have to find it. For our sciences, science is so much in the news right now, and it has become a political issue. You need to explain that to your students, that there's facts and then there's interpretation of facts, and somewhere in there is civic engagement. Same thing for English classes. What are they saying versus what do they mean? For government history, this is really obvious. This is a lot of what we do. Sociology, I see quite a few sociologists that have made it to this. Same thing. This definitely applies to the way that we want our students to view the world through that sociological lens. Civic engagement is all around us. It's everywhere. And if we want our students to be competent, good stewards in our community, we have to make that obvious to them.
Okay,
now,
so go ahead.
So the question I get most often is the second one. So Angie, you're going to answer me.
Yeah.
What do you mean by real world application? What is that?
So real world application, and to preface this, I'm going to tell you guys about a class I took when I was in grad school, and I came to teaching after another career. So I had already been out in the business world, and I'm sitting in this class, and my instructor gave this. He's like blah 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 blah, and he was talking about pharmaceutical sales, which is what I used to do. And so I raised my hand, positive that he would want my real world experience. And I said, "Oh, actually, Dr. Smith, that's not correct. This is the way it is because this is what I used to do." And no joke, he looked at me. I actually thought he was joking, but I realized he wasn't. And he said, "Don't ever bring the real world into my class." And I started laughing, thinking he was kidding, but everybody else looked at me like uneasily, and I realized he wasn't kidding. And I didn't ever raise my hand in that class again. So that is an example of not real world application, where people's theory does not tie into what's really going on in the world. So when I say real world application, I want to teach students, this is why you're learning about economics. This is how it will apply to your real life. So I can show you why choosing the person that you choose to go out with on Friday night is an economic decision, or why choosing the degree that you choose is going to have economic ramifications on your life. I can show you how any decision can go back to economics. So that's real world. So when people get out of my class, I want them to go, okay, I'm going to look at the pros and cons, and I'm going to look, where do I have the advantage, so on and so forth. So every single subject, math, here's one. You can count correct change. How many of you guys have been to a store or a restaurant and it's like 5601 and you give them the penny and they look at you like you're crazy? They don't know how to make change. That's a real world application of math. So every subject has real world applications. You need to find what that is, and you need to show the student, this is why you learn about percentages. This is why you learn about the foods that are best for your body in biology. So any subject can be taught in a way that the students leave, and then 5 years down the road, they're going to go, oh, I learned that at TCC in my psychology class. So does that answer your question, Misty?
It does. And I just want to add on to that really quickly. So there's all sorts of conferences that you can go to about civic engagement. I've been to a few of them. They're fantastic. They're amazing. Highly recommend. But I met a statistics instructor, and his entire statistics course, he's based all the concepts and statistics around the Electoral College. So we're learning about probability, but we're going to apply it to the Electoral College. And I just think that kind of an application is great because, again, they can see what I'm learning connects to something that really, really, really affects me.
That's a good one. All right, so I get this next question a lot. I've already done my course. I've got my course ready for the fall, and now you're telling me that I've got to do something else. So does this have to be another graded assignment or what? Do I just like throw it in my class and hope it sticks?
So you don't have to make it a graded assignment. And I would caution you to be really intentional about what you do make a graded assignment. So this could be as easy as during the semester, you remind students, hey, your registration to vote needs to be in by October 5th. Hey guys, because of COVID, early elections are earlier and last a little bit longer this year. So you can connect those things there. If you're going to make it a graded assignment, and we'll give you hints and clues how to do that here in a minute. But if you're going to make it a graded assignment, please, 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 please do not give your students points for voting. Please don't do that. And the reason I'm saying that is because, of course, we want our students to vote, and of course, we want them to participate. But not all of our students can vote. And so if you give points for voting specifically, then you're giving points to students who have that privilege and some do not. So just be really conscious about what you're doing and why you're doing it, and does it really connect to the material I'm trying to teach them? And so this last question, I think, kind of leads off that last one. We know that you guys have done a ton of work. We know that your courses are pretty much ready to go now for the fall, and you really don't want to have to go change them. So Angie, is there an easy way I can incorporate all this into my course that I already have built?
Misty, I am so glad you asked that because yes, there is. Ta-da! Here is one super easy way that you can simply drop a link into your class and offer participation either for a grade or for extra credit. So the Learn to Discern webinar series is set to begin its sixth semester of providing multiple webinars per semester. So we typically do about 5, built around a single theme, and students participate actively in this, or they're allowed up to 48 hours once the live webinar is over to watch it and then still participate. So for example, we've done civic engagement, we've done Beyond Digital Outrage, which basically was really interesting. It went into, pizza, like that would actually be a good one to redo. People that get really mad, but then that's it. I'm so mad at fill in the blank. Dang it, I'm going to just post a lot of stuff online showing how mad I am. Okay. We were saying, if you really are mad and you want to make a change, this is how you do so. We did One Nation, and then we started big, macro, and then we worked our way down to Texas and down to local elections. And then now we're doing election 2020. And the lovely thing around this is it is 3 professors that teach very different subjects, and here's the important thing, have very different political ideologies. So it is Allegra Hannah Davis who teaches English, it's Misty who teaches government, and it's myself who teaches economics.
I teach history.
Sorry.
I know they're basically the same thing, but yeah.
No. Sorry. But we model how we can have a good social discourse without it devolving into something ugly. So we'll approach these things from our different viewpoints, which is exactly what our students are doing. And then the students they're very, very active. They can, if you post this Learn to Discern link, then your students can follow or subscribe to the whole series. And then when I say we, I mean Misty, then comes up with the attendance afterward. And she can send you, these are the students that in your class that attended, and you can, give them extra credit or kudos or whatever you want to do. So this is the easiest way if you would like just to drop something in Put it in, and then you don't have to think about it anymore. You can give reminders. Oh, the next webinar is coming up, next week. Make sure that you go on, and then make sure you fill out the Google Doc so that you get credit. So that is something easy that we would like to encourage you to do.
And Allegra is currently working on the flyer for this. We should have it out to you guys soon, I hope. But just in case you want to know, the topics that we're going to cover this semester are going to be those generational influences on voting, how you get your political socialization, language in politics and campaigning, how Texas is or is not becoming a swing state. And then after the election, we're going to do a recap on the influences that led to whatever outcome we see in November.
Yeah. And just so you know, we never, ever express our political views. So we are always very neutral. So our goal, of course, is for the students to go, oh, I wonder who they like. I wonder who that. So we're not out there pushing any agenda, just to set your mind at ease that way. So any questions about Learn to Discern before we move on? Okay, I'm going to say no. And you can always email Misty or myself, and I give our contact at the end.
So another really easy way to do this is to join the newly created District Civic Engagement Blackboard organization. And within that Blackboard organization, we are going to have all sorts of resources for you guys, research, what every campus is doing, events that are taking place on your home campus or at Connect. And then I think this is super helpful. We have a pre-made, with all working links, email announcement you can send directly to your students, reminding them how to get registered to vote, where they can get registered to vote, how to do it if they can't leave their house and they don't have a printer, because that is going to be a big deal this year. When they have to have those deadlines in by, who represents them, what their ballot's going to look like, if they have to go on election day, not early voting, what precinct do they go to? All of this is pre-done for you. All you have to do is copy it, post it in your class, boom, done. Jennifer, we are hoping to get that schedule out soon. Jennifer asked when the Learn to Discern schedule is going to be out. I don't want to make promises for Allegra that she can't keep, but soon.
Soon, very soon.
Along with that pre-made announcement, we also have this pre-made item in Blackboard. So in your courses, there's usually like a tab on the side that says student resources, and it's got links like to the food pantry, to the bookstore, to the police office. This is another student resource we can put in there. What's amazing about this one, and one reason I really think everyone should do it, is there's nothing on here that's dated. So even after this current election, all of these links will still be good. So you don't have to worry about putting it in and taking it out.
Yeah, very good. Okay, so those are all, that's three super easy ways that there's very, very little required on your part, and you can sort of take the baby steps into adding civic engagement and social responsibility to your class, which, as a reminder, that is required. But in addition, each campus has a civic engagement team. Missy, can you tell us a little bit about what the civic engagement team does?
Sure, and it looks different at every campus. Southeast actually has two. They have one that does mostly social issues. They have one that does primarily political issues. So whatever your home campus is, it kind of will depend. For Connect, our civic engagement team is, I think, pretty large and is from a wide variety of instructors. So I'm really proud of ours. We have a lot going on. But these teams, if you have questions, comments, concerns, if you look in that Blackboard shell I mentioned earlier, and we'll tell you how to get in there soon, you'll see that your campus representative is listed and what their contact email is.
Yeah, so we encourage everyone to get involved with their campus civic engagement team, if only for the reason that then your ideas will be heard. So you can get in there and then you can make a difference, and you can say, well, I'd really like to have something, about whatever it is that you teach. So also be aware, Constitution Day coming up, September 17th. we have anything exciting planned for this day, Misty?
We do, and I'll get, again, that schedule out to you guys soon. I think Rebecca and Kenya are going to be speaking for us. So it's really interesting that we'll have a speech teacher and somebody who's from the business side of the house working on Constitution Day, which traditionally has just fallen on government and history people. So again, we're really trying to do that ask every student thing, bring in the wider umbrella of our students.
And of course, also that ties into the interrelatedness of our classes, our core classes.
Absolutely.
So then we have National Voter Registration Day, September 22nd. So last year, as part of our webinar series, we sponsored a Get Out the Vote, and Misty and I actually became what was our title?
Deputy registrars.
Deputy registrars.
This is really, really, really super important in Texas. So Texas laws are very, very, very strict about who can do what. So if you're an instructor, and I know this isn't really in effect this year because we're all online, but if you're an instructor and you passed out voter registration cards in your class, unless you're a deputy registrar, you cannot take those from students. They have to themselves go put them in the mail. So super, super important. Now, if you want to take those cards, become a deputy registrar. It was super easy. It took one afternoon, and then you're good.
Yeah. Yeah. So we did that, and then we followed it up all the way through with a walk the vote, where we would meet the students and actually walk to the voting center, because there was an early voting center at Trinity River campus. So that was sort of a semester-wide thing that was I thought that was really successful. And then we've got our important election dates here.
Like I said earlier, those early voting dates have been extended. And I would say just as we go through the semester, let's keep an eye on those just in case they get extended again. Not that I think they will, but I mean, I never thought we'd be in a global pandemic either. So
yeah,
take what I think with a grain of salt.
Okay.
All right, so another way you can incorporate these ideas into your classes is through assignments, graded assignments. And so I'm giving you an example here from a history class and from a government class. And again, I'm not going to read this whole thing to you because it's long. But when I'm talking about World War I in my class, we discuss the Selective Service Act. Well, the actual conversation that we have about this course is not about what happened in the past, but we have a discussion about what the Selective Service Act looks like today, what the ramifications of it have been. And if we had to do a new draft, would students be supporting that or opposing that? And I give them sources from both sides, all the historical documents, the primary sources, and they have to craft an argument that says, yes, I'd be for it, or no, I'd be against it. So we're meeting all of the academic requirements there, but we're also throwing in that civic engagement component. And then this example at the bottom is from a government class. And basically this one is questioning the limits of the First Amendment. So we all know that we have free speech. What does that mean to you? Where do you draw the line? How comfortable are you with these ideas? And again, students need to do some research. They need to provide sources and links for what they're doing. So we're meeting all of those academic requirements. And then we're going to fold in the civic engagement as we go.
Okay, so here's another example, civic engagement in action in economics classes. So in my class, all of the discussion boards are designed around current events. So what I do is I go in and I get like little YouTube clips or clips from somewhere that is approved and that I can make ADA compliant. And I will post those clips. The students will watch the clip, and then they have to go pro or con. And it's really great to get students thinking. For example, we did one about sweat workshops when foreign countries have young people working. Off the top of your head, you're going to say, "Oh my gosh, that's terrible," because they should be out playing soccer or whatever. But when you delve into it more, you will discover that the facts are not always what they seem. So these are ways that I can get my students thinking about economics as it applies to current events. So we may do things, like involving the economy around the world. We might do things about inequity of pay. We might do things about, is it a good idea to raise the minimum wage? Why or why not? So every semester I change those so it keeps it fresh. And also it incorporates civic knowledge and awareness. They research, they participate. And also it is a great way for students to come up with completely opposing viewpoints, especially my non-traditional students will come back and say, well, I was in the military in Afghanistan, and so I've got a little bit of a different view here, and so on and so forth. So that is the way I do it in economics, and it's been very successful. So other subjects, these are Connect examples. So biology, Natalie Russell, 1409, they have a citizen science project where they provide data for this semester about observations on specific plants or animals. So this is, again, tying it into real world. Why do you need to know this? Because if you were a farmer, then you would need to know, when should I plant? When should I harvest? When do I need to water? Is a controlled burn a good idea? That also ties into, fire services and ecology and things like that. So that's an example of something biology does. Social psychology, this is Sherry Mata, has a written assignment where the students describe social influence factors, and then they apply them to real world examples in current events. So once again, we are using whatever the subject matter that we're teaching, and we are showing how it applies to everyday life. So that is the take it with you moment that we want students to have.
So we wanted to save some time at the end for questions and open this up if you guys have any. Also, we're going to have you guys email us if you want to get access to that Blackboard organization. If you have any questions about Learn to Discern or the Texas Higher Education Board, whatever it is, we're open.
Anything? I feel like that economics teacher on what's that great movie where he goes, anyone, there's no one. Okay. Well, if there's no questions, this tape will be available, as will all of the seminars that we are showing today. They'll all be available at a later date, taped. If you have any questions that you would like to ask privately, you can email either Misty or myself, and we will be providing all the information that we discussed as soon as we get it all done. So if there's no more questions, Misty, are we signing out?
We are, but I want to make sure everybody gets credit.
Oh, yeah, that's important.
So I just put in the comments and the chats the link that you click on that is a sign-in page. That is how you're going to get your PD credit for attending. So make sure you do that before you leave.
Perfect. Well, thank you all and enjoy Welcome Week. Oh, yeah, Melanie, that is it. Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Yep. Anyone? Yep. Okay, thank you to everyone that attended. I hope you guys got some usable information. Okay. I think it's just us now, right?
I think so. So I guess that's what we're going to have to do at the end. It's just boot
Yeah, I
people.
had to. I did. That's what I did. I just went down that
Oh, I
list.
was doing it too. So I guess that's what we're going to have to do.
That poor lady, Ulka, is probably going, what? What happened?
Heck.
Cool. People, it's over. Okay. All
Maybe they
right.
think it's all
So,
one room.
oh, maybe so. I don't know. That's so weird. Okay. So, Allegra, where is this tape now?
I think Allegra's actually in something else.
Oh, okay. Do you know where the tape goes? Does it go to
I
notes
have
or do I?
no idea. Like, cause remember how like before when we set it up, there was like a team that existed forever.
Yes.
Like this isn't a team that will
Yes.
exist forever, right?
Okay. Wait, I didn't start recording again. Wait, I already stopped.